What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Sports Bible Podcast. I am joined here by Rob. I am Richie, of course. And Rob, I'm leaving that in. Shut up, Gus. Gus, come here. Come here, buddy.
Well, the first question to ask Rich and Gus,
Everyone, meet Gus.
the cutest dog ever, who's growing increasingly fast.
And I was going to say, Rob, I'm going to do what I think Greeny did on ESPN. I know we talk about, you always apologize to me about ranting with the Celtics. The floor is yours.
Well, I'm just at a loss of words. This isn't what I was going to start off with, but with my friends that night, tears were like on the way. They really were. Serious emotions. I was pacing around this attic, just post heart attack with how that game ended. But it's just first thing to say is like simple as that. Like we say every week and every episode, every time we talk, it feels like yesterday. When, like, where were we in December or January when me and you were trying to figure this team out?
I know I said I could let you talk, but I have to take some credit because the tide turned when RJ Barrett hit that three.
And that's, as you know, in every pinpoint I do of when the run started on a Potter and writing, like, that's what I look back on. That night when everyone was on the hot seat, when you're 3 games under 500, when you blow a 26-point lead before that shot. And it's just like, I remember looking at you face to face here and just like, we're trying to figure out like the run was like just starting before the deadline and they were starting to beat everyone like out of nowhere. And then we're like, all right, was it mediocre teams? And then they started beating everyone. And then the run just, it's like we were trying to pinpoint everything and figure everything out. And like, oh my God, it's like I've never had a season like this. And of course, like, I just can't believe it at all. And like, a 6-year odyssey, 12 years being just out of it. I'm going to start at going into game 6, but like when they did lose game 6, I'll talk about my mindset and everything, but that's all I would like. They would show across at SportsCenter 5 consecutive losses to close out, the Eastern Conference Finals dating back to 2012, like to make a finals. And oh my God, it's like time after time being at the doorstep, golden opportunity, and just knocking at the door and just coming up just short. And to Pat Riley in the Heat, to LeBron in the Heat, one of the 2 or 3 every single time. And like we said,
it was like Peyton to Brady. Like he was just always.
It's always those 2. And like we would say in the winter, it's like they were finding ways to lose, like completely. And
The Magic, I remember.
It was terrible.
Orlando Magic. Remember that?
It took the Jaylen Brown 50+ to beat them for one game when I was in recovery. While I was talking to you. I just remember talking to you like Squidward when I was in recovery, talking about.
Oh, yeah, like a nose or dental.
Around Christmas, it was the deviated septum. I got septoplasty. But
I have a comment on that, but I won't say it on recording.
What's that?
Well, I could probably say it. You ever notice when a girl gets a nose job, it's always a deviated septum? Just be real with us. You just wanted to get your nose smaller. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's all right. Guys have hair implants. Like, it's okay.
But yeah, so I just remember talking to you sounding like Squidward on here, and they went 4 for 42 against the Clippers in that game, or from 3 that game. And So yeah, last week they steal one in Miami, go up 3-2, and the entire, as you know, landscape of media everywhere, not one soul is picking Miami. Everyone's
Hmm.
like, they're too hurt, which they were really banged up, along with Boston. Uh, you could say Miami especially, but they were hurt. Um, they don't have the strength to win two in a row. They're going to lose this next six game. And, Draymond saying, we're going to play Boston. And
Yeah, that kind of. I've gotten scared if I was you.
I didn't think anything of it being like a message. I thought like, all right, my main note to that was like language, don't fuck it up. Now you guys got
Yeah.
it. But like, um, dude, I'm just speechless and I'm running out of words and I'm in disbelief. They go into game 6. It kind of was like Miami obviously has each game this series like back and forth blowout. Everyone was looking for a good game, and it felt like kind of game 5 in Miami a little bit as well. But it felt like we finally got one in game 6, although Boston couldn't get over the hump. The Jays really had no help besides D. White. Horford has been kind of lackadaisical on offense the past few games, although like we know how he impacts the game with everything else he does.
He had like a family loss, right? I saw his
Yeah,
grandfather.
I actually didn't realize that until he was talking about it post game.
He didn't bring like it wasn't news until after the game.
Yeah, and he was locked in. I mean, you saw the tears flying the other night and how emotional he is. And he gets a 26 or $24 million bonus like at the end of his contract if they made
Wow.
the finals. Yeah, he was making in the teens and that was big and he finally made it. And I saw he wasn't active on social media since before the regular season ended. But they couldn't get over the hump in Boston game 6. A lot of the crowd was anxious the entire time. Marcus led in shots. You could tell that was the one game where you were like, all right, he's playing hurt.
Yeah.
And yeah, besides White, there was just really no offensive help for Jalen and Jason. The defense was still stellar, even though we know just Butler was getting Butler was getting to his spots, but that was the worst playoff performance Marcus has had. And like, how you see the tweets and you know how every opponent he covers, whether it's Kawhi Leonard, whether it's Giannis, whether it's Kyrie, KD, whatever, he's holding them to low numbers. He gave up 15 points to Butler, and that was the most postseason. There you go. Good win. Mets. You're muted right now.
I know you're ahead of me. Like I got it on my phone.
Strikeout.
Hey. All right, cool.
I forgot. My bad.
No, that's all right. The Nationals are hopeless.
Yeah, so what was I just talking about?
Marcus Smart's worst performance.
Yeah, so that was the most postseason points he's given up since 2018 to JJ Redick, I think, in that Philadelphia series that year. But he was laying off him a little. You could tell he was just hurt, and Jimmy was these were tough makes, like to the basket, between switches of Smart and White. Like he was getting off anything over Rob Williams, even though for most of the series it seemed like when Rob was on the floor, Jimmy kind of feared him a little bit, whether it was the knee inflammation or whatever.
Matchup.
Yeah, and it's just he was tough.
But no, because Butler kind of plays like a like he's not going to do a step. Like I mean, he shot more threes, but he's more of a mismatch for like a smaller guard than a center.
Yeah,
because he's a big post player.
Yeah, and we saw it with Pritchard early on in the series. We saw it with White, and I mean, we'll talk about what happened last game in a sec, of course, but we know his main strengths are mid-range and post up, like you said, in the paint or going to the basket. And like I said, all tough makes game 6. So I did a pod on Fleet Green before the game, knocked on wood 4 different times. Now, because I had a men's whoever knows me, let me just get this straight. The Celtics are life, like Red Auerbach says. They're not a basketball team. They're a way of life. But I'm always working towards this shit. Whether it's not this, it's just on the basketball court. I live the game. I'm always trying to be better, always trying to help the team I'm on for the men's league be better. And I'm just really focused on it, helping, us win and just improving myself in real games, whatever. But obviously nothing overcomes Boston and, of course, a schedule like this. So knocked on wood 4 times. I kept saying it over the pod. I was like, all right, for my men's league game, let's do this. And that happened, and I was just depressed, so depressed that night. And it was just because, like,
Game 7?
Game 6.
Oh,
Friday.
I was saying, why were you depressed?
So depressed because after knocking on wood 4 times and hoping they can just close it out so I can make the game, felt like the heart was ripped out of me because I've been saying to everyone, it was kind of like the best comparison and best way to explain it is like I'm a little kid getting a toy taken away from me, my favorite toy. That's what it was like. So, I mean, of course, it ended up being the best day ever, which is this has been the best couple days and week ever. But so sad I was. Went out Saturday, obviously focused on just one thing, Sunday night. Sunday comes, I'm like locked in to FTX Arena, to our mindset. I'm nervous, thinking of Miami's experience.
I can't keep up with these arena names.
I called it
those American Airlines.
Yeah, I called it that last time, but I realized it was FTX. So I was just locked in, just nervous, of course, because after game 6, I mean, all the life was taken out of me. I had no choice but to just lose faith. Why? Because, as you know, 4 out of 6 years, a 6-year odyssey, like I said, and a 12-year just almost for a lot of the time, despite obviously, which looks amazing now, immediately after the KG and Pierce trade, when we were in the rebuild for that 1 year, it's just like I've seen this movie a million times. So like going back to Miami, I just had you don't understand the demons I had going into the game. So I just, oh man. So the story I was going to tell you that I was like, first of all, I'm stuttering a lot right now because I'm just still so speechless. But the story I was going to tell you that I said, wait till we record. 2 nights ago, I'm up late. I'm up here. The repeat is on NBA Today, so it doesn't take as long as the games, as you know. I never knew Terry Collins was in the studio for SNY.
He's not usually. He's usually like he'll go on like the sports night show, Baseball Night in New York, I think it's called. But he was there today. Today is the 10-year anniversary, I believe, of Johan Santana's no-hitter for the Mets.
I remember it.
So that might be why he's on.
Yeah, it's cool.
But he's I liked him as a manager, but
he was cool.
Yeah.
So it's just basically, so yeah, I'm up here Sunday night. I was like, I'll watch the repeat. They usually go fast on NBA TV because no commercials. They'll skip to the important parts. So it's like third quarter. It's like 3 a.m. It was tough for me to sleep with my excitement for kind of still is. I'm not going to lie. But I'm like, all right, I'll go lay in bed and we'll fall asleep to the game. For analyst reasons like me and you, I will watch the repeat. So it's like I had a quick nightmare. I fell asleep in the third quarter and I jump up as soon as in those dark last few minutes of a heart attack. I just hear in my sleep, I just hear 2 minutes. And I just knew like I jumped real quick and was just a sigh of relief that I didn't have to just felt great to not be stressing about that anymore.
Yeah.
I just, went back to sleep. But then I'm watching the repeat again, and all I do is just get incredible panic anxiety and just relive the heart attack, because at the end of the day, if they didn't close that out and they collapsed like that, not only would it arguably been the worst collapse in Celtic history, but arguably NBA history. First of all, they did what they had to do, what the road team has to do with their type of experience, how great it is. Although, like I said, the Heat, top-notch better just because how they were in the bubble, or, more experienced by a smidge, like I said. But they did what they had to do, and as the road team that just has the playoff experience we do, you set the tone in the Game 7. You went up on the road. You went up 15, huge lead in the first. We looked like we've been throughout this whole run through the season. Arguably one of the best defensive teams ever. Just looked phenomenal on defense. Butler was still Butler, but we made it tough for him. No one was really helping him besides Pham and some Lowry plays, which I was going to say I watched the repeat again before, and I wrote down I'm going to read it to you. I wrote down play-by-play the last 13 minutes of the Miami run because it's kind of funny. Not
Every
long.
play?
Yeah, but it's not long. It's just the important one.
Like 3-point shot, steal, turnover.
Yeah. You're just going to laugh. But, the take foul that Lowry had in the beginning that gave him 2 fouls, that was kind of stupid. And then the play he had at the end when he tried to draw the foul on Grant when he just fell when he had the ball and burned a timeout, that was stupid. And then, he first of all, as you know, and if you didn't, you learned it this series, how he is the worst complainer of all time. He knows it'll be a bad call. I mean, he does it greatly, to his credit, and he's obviously a warrior with his past playoff experience, arguably the greatest Raptor ever. I'm a huge fan of his, just not when he sees the Celtics. But he, contact near the face, just always just flopping whatever it is. Just always arguing, no matter what. And it's just the worst exaggeration. And, people are going to hear this and be like, oh, Marcus. At least Marcus is smart about it. He's not going to cry if he knows he's wrong.
Pun intended.
Yeah. He's not going to cry if he knows he's wrong. And oh my God. It's like he's still a dark thought in my head, Lowry. But listen to this. So he makes a vintage fadeaway with 3, I saw him make nonstop.
Who's he? Butler?
He made nonstop in that I would always say to you, probably the 3 craziest series I've been through. This one, the Bucks one, and I would always say to you that bubble one with the Celtics against Toronto in the semifinals that went 7 games, the Anunoby buzzer. That was unbelievable. And Lowry was a pure menace against us. And all the misses and bricks he had early on in the series, or for most of it, I would always just be like, all right, he makes these on the Raptors. So he makes a vintage fade, 3:15 to go, 98-87. Smart walks the ball up for some reason when he should be milking the clock like we were trying to do most of the end of that game. Walks it up. I don't know why.
They rolled it up?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is a mid-range. He missed 6 shots in a row. Listen to this. Mid-range, 0 for 1. Misses a big 3-pointer. 2 wide open 3-pointers in a row on the same possession. 98-89, a minute 59 to go. Tatum isolates, Grant stripped. Oladipo lays it in, 98-91. Smart, 4th straight miss. Lowry layup. Jaylen Brown gets the charge. Now here's where my heart's completely racing, and first of all, I'm shaking the entire game for about 4 hours, around the game, during the game. 98-93, 52 seconds to go after the Brown charge. Strus makes that side 3 on the right side. The place goes bonkers. 11-0 run in 3 minutes for the Heat. Over 40 seconds to go, 98-96. Smart with a dumb layup, Wild with over 20 seconds to go, clogged paint, trying to look for contact, I guess, which they maybe could have called it, but in crunch time of this game,
They're not
Miami
going to
was,
call a ticky-tack foul at that point.
and the refs were like good on both sides. Scott Foster's 12-0 in his last games with Boston.
I have a take on him.
You want to say it now, or should I just get done with the play-by-play?
Keep going. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, so, but the 50-50 calls at home and like how everything was going down in those last few minutes, like Miami was getting most of the 50-50s, but clog paint, I guess he was looking for contact. Now here comes the Butler shot. Credit to Al Horford. I agree. Everyone all this week, all these analysts, as you know, should he or should he have not have? I guess I'll ask you before I continue.
What did you say? Sorry.
No, you're good. I was saying the Butler shot is now, and as you know, all analysts throughout this whole week, that's the question: should he have taken it or no? So, what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like at first,
he's open.
I see.
He's hit that shot how many times?
Yeah,
I mean, he's not a 3-point shooter, but it's a rhythm shot.
He made the same one in the first half, wide open. Like White was coming towards him, but he didn't have it, like not even close, wide open, easy swish on the other side. I think it was towards the Boston bench. But we know throughout the regular season how bad he was from three, under 20%. But then we see him throughout these playoffs and like game 6, for example, and he makes these shots in this time of year. And were you going to say something?
I was just saying, I think a point that I actually agreed with a lot of people on, I think Nick Wright is who I heard it from. He said he was so tired at that point that it was overtime or that's it. Because if they went into overtime, they would have gotten like run off the floor just because Butler played. He didn't come out of the game with a bad knee.
Mm-hmm.
So that shot might have been a little bit of that too, like go for the win.
Yeah.
And it's also like give your team a shot with like an offensive rebound or like you can still foul them. There was still like a couple, like what did you say, how much time was left?
11. When Smart went to the line, there was 11 seconds.
Yeah, it's that or you hold for a 2 and if you miss, game's over anyway. Because then you have no shot at fouling in that game.
Yeah. Got to take the shot. I mean, I thought me, along with every other Celtic fan, we thought that was in.
I thought it was in.
I see Smart doing that, and I'm just like, all right, you're terrific all game. You can't just shoot us out of it here. You really can't. And it's just like, I was just thinking, is this really how it's going to go down? Because I'll be sheltering myself for a few days, if so, and not answering the phone.
That would have been an all-time moment for Butler.
It would have been like the Lakers, probably worse than the Lakers loss in 2010, but that would have been probably arguably the worst loss I've ever experienced. But so, like I said, I'm having a heart attack, and Jeff Van Gundy said, that's what you have to live with as the best player like Butler. But, yeah I thought it was in. So you got to take the shot. Credit to Horford getting back on defense, and he gave a little late closeout, and then he corralled the board. And as you know, these past few months, he's been moving like he's 29. And that's what, like, he got back and he did that. I mean, you could argue, like, I heard Bill Simmons say this, he's my guy. With the 50-50 calls, you could argue maybe he takes Horford to the rack, goes for an and one. But, like, he's making 40 – I saw 40% on pull-ups in the postseason.
I saw 47.
I stand corrected. That's
so if he takes that shot again, it's probably going in.
Yeah, and, like, it was the right – yeah, you could argue he could have maybe took it to the rack, drew a foul, but it was the right decision to just pull up. Perfect look. Was so happy it was front rim. Al snatches it, gets it to Marcus. Marcus makes the 2 free throws after going 0 for 6 there, closes it out for us. And this is another thing Bill said. That's a sub up of Marcus through his first 8 years. Like, just making it, making it interesting, but getting it done through adversity. And so, yeah, Butler shot. He should have credited Horford for getting back. Smart, got it up to Smart, made the free throws. And, yeah, I just wrote that down, how, like, the bad Lowry plays just kind of was stupid. And how about the reverse Strus call?
See, I don't like the narrative of, like, they lost by 4. If he hits that 3, well, if that he doesn't step out of bounds, they lose by 1 and possibly whatever happens. Because if he hits the 3, someone else is game planning something different. If that was the last shot, that would make sense. Like, if that was like a buzzer beater, that would make sense. But a lot of stuff still has to happen in between that. So, like, the Celtics probably wouldn't have gotten fouled and shot free throws.
Yeah.
So it's like it's different. So I don't love that. Like, that's why I don't love, like, blaming umpires or refs. And I guess if we could get to my Scott Foster point now, that stat with Scott Foster, how he's 0-14, Chris Paul.
Yeah, I think we talked about this recently. It might be more now, but it's around there.
Is he a bad ref, or does he just not fall for Chris Paul slopping?
I think it's that. And I mean, I'm not going to say he's a bad ref now. He's the extender.
He's an NBA ref.
I think it's just unfortunate for Chris.
Yeah, well, you want to be called your nickname and then you don't win anything.
And, like, man, Joy Taylor and Colin, I'm listening to them yesterday or maybe the day before. Joy is a big Heat fan, and she was
I think she's from Miami.
Yeah, she's like
is it her brother or, like, cousin, Jason Taylor, the ex-football player?
I think it's her. You don't hear my TV downstairs, right?
What did you say?
You don't hear my TV downstairs, right?
I hear nothing but your beautiful voice.
Yours too.
Joy Taylor brother. Yeah, Jason Taylor is her brother.
Yeah, me and my friends have talked about this. Yeah. And I thought maybe he was cousin, but it's her brother. So, yeah, related. She was like, I'm not going to waste my energy caring about that because, like, the game was not decided on a Max Strus three-pointer that ran in the third quarter. But it just was amazing. I just remember sitting here hearing the PA announcer, and then Van Gundy was like, wow, what a call. And I've never seen that before, ever, especially with the home team.
Yeah.
Like, never. And I saw Max was pissed about it. And
especially in a game like basketball when you score so many points. Yeah. Like, anything. Because, like, what if there's, like, a ticky-tack foul that went the Heat way? Was called that shouldn't have been called.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, not for nothing, I saw this on Twitter. During the run, maybe when the 11-0 run started, Pham stepped completely when he made the fadeaway over the Time Lord, I think it was, when he was still in the game, which he was terrible, honestly. You could tell he was hurt. Yeah. I wanted Tice in the game, and they did the right move, took him out. You could tell he wasn't even getting rebounds or blocks.
Yeah.
And you could have put Tice in, and they had Grant and Al, and obviously White is just such a good pickup, and he's just been so good.
Him and Pritchard kind of, like, do the same role, and as whoever's playing well plays.
Yeah. And
I think Pritchard might be a little better shooter.
Yeah, of course, because we didn't see White knock down. White gets the best looks, but we didn't see him make those threes where the net was barely even moving until the last 2 games. And, yeah, it's just – you've heard my rant about him. The Olympics, the Spurs, how he met the Celtics early on, how he's got ties with the coaching staff. Like, he's makes the right play. He'll – sometimes Simmons compared him to a reliever in the AL postseason. He'll give you a heart attack and – you'll worry, but he'll do the right things. He'll rebound, he'll run point, and he'll make tremendous passes, stuff like that. But on offense, and his floater is pure. Like, that was great about him in Game 7. But past 2 games, really the latter half of the past two series, he's just a tremendous fit that he's shown. And and Van Gundy was he was like saying like, like acting like it was over when we were at 98 points. And it was worrying me. I was thinking like we still got to close this, but yeah, I mean,
Game 7, like the Heat are gonna give everything they got at the last couple minutes.
Yeah, and like, and Doris Burke, speaking of the Time Lord, said it herself after the game. Is like this series is, it's going to rely a lot on him, and obviously we see how tremendous we still are on defense. But when he's healthy and moving and blocking shots the way he is, that's when we are arguably a top defensive team on the planet, even though they're already arguably one of the greatest. But that, like, far and away when he's like that. And, man, it was tremendous. Like, just the way it finished, I was on the verge of crying. I definitely will if they pull this out. And it just, like, I keep doing this laugh because I just can't believe it. I'm so happy. And I've never seen this before. Like, the run they had, the turnaround. And, everyone who was talking to me going into the game, they're like, they got it. Because as you know, we could have won this in 5. We didn't punch ourselves in the face a couple different quarters throughout the series. But, like, everyone's like, they got it, at Vegas, and the whole world, like, sees how special of a team this is. Like, no one's going to let them lose. And I just can't believe it. They pulled it through. Horford throws the board up in the air. They storm the court. I hit the Tebow in the corner of the attic, literally, like, just praying. And I can't believe it, man. I mean, you've heard me. I maybe haven't expressed it enough on the pod, obviously, because I was just worried about, like, them and their positioning as they were turning around through the winter and the late winter when we would do this a lot. But I don't know what it is. Like, this has been, and you've probably seen, this has been the finals I've wanted since 2016, since Isaiah Thomas ended their home win streak, that one game. And then with Kyrie, were you going to say something?
No.
With Kyrie, they played him well. With Kemba, they played him well. Even when Durant got there. It's just like with Stevens and Kerr, it's just like they play similar styles, like the switching defense. Kerr loves the Jays and Marcus from the Olympics, and the whole, like, Durant beating us for Golden State pretty much. And it's just Celtics fans have wanted this since they've dreamed or even overrated themselves at the time as championship contenders. They've been waiting for I've always wanted to spank the Lakers again, as you know, but, like, this has been the matchup we've wanted for so long, and I can't believe it's here.
So speaking of that matchup, do you want to do, like, a quick recap of Warriors-Mavs? I mean, we kind of got a little fool's goal with Dallas. I think we were kind of rooting for Dallas just for, like, just to see someone else. But everyone that wants to say Dallas, like, had no help, they had a good team. But when you're going against 2 for sure Hall of Famers, maybe 3, depending how you feel about Draymond, a rising star in Jordan Poole,
he's a Hall of Famer, I think,
and a former number 1 overall pick in Andrew Wiggins, and you have Luka, Brunson's solid, and then, like, guys like Finney-Smith, Bullock didn't play well. So when that happens, you're not going to catch every one of the guys in the Warriors on an off night, because even whenever they would get close, it takes literally 2 to 3 minutes for the Warriors to get going. And it was a gentleman's sweep. So we got a little fool's gold, little, what's the term? Not fool's gold. Yeah, maybe fool's gold. We got a little too ahead of ourselves with Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't think Luka is James Harden. I don't. I don't think he's ball dominant, but I think he's ball dominant by purpose because they tried Porzingis. What's up?
What do you mean by that?
James Harden had Chris Paul and found a way to demand the ball.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean? Luca, when you have a big man, it's a little different.
and like we know there's a high, obviously through the roof chance that he will be easily better than James and like more the player he is all around with defense, with getting people involved.
Well, defense a little got
Yeah,
exposed.
it's
Yeah,
just
but that's what good teams do though. Golden State exposed his defense because we all knew his defense wasn't good. That wasn't a surprise to anyone. But the Suns had a hard time getting like Booker on him. I don't know why. They had like a really tough time getting Booker on him. And the
yeah,
Warriors didn't have a problem getting one of their 5 shooters because, yeah, I think Golden State, for some reason, maybe it's just like voter fatigue. They don't feel like the 73-9 team, but this team is just as like impressive. Like compared to like talent, like with like the Splash Brothers kind of being not older, but Clay, his knee, his Achilles. KD wasn't on the 73-9 team, but KD. Well, it was Steph's Warriors, but KD was on the team. We'll get into that. But yeah, so Dallas did that. They overachieved or exceeded expectations because I don't think they overachieved. I think they're that good. And we'll see what they do with Brunson. I saw something that they can get Zach LaVine. I think that's a great move. That would be a great move because
Gobert maybe.
Gobert fits better than Porzingis did because Gobert, well, yeah, he doesn't really run the screen and roll, but I guess if you could teach him it, because Porzingis would run to the 3-point line. And, like, was that a scheme thing? Maybe. But we are not fans of Kristaps Porzingis here. I want to do something with you in the offseason. We're gonna rank like our top 5 to 10 most loved players and top to 5 to 10 most hated players. And
we'll predict free agents too or something too.
Yeah. Well, all season in the NBA is kind of short, but what's it like? Well, if the final starts Thursday, say the last 2 weeks.
So it's like 2.5 months.
Yeah, it's like mid-June, and we'll have like the draft. Although I think the NBA draft is so like useless. Like if you are not in the top 6, you're probably getting a role player unless you hit like on like a Mitchell or like Booker.
Or
what?
Joker.
Yeah, there's always one of those guys, but like let's be honest, how many guys in an NBA draft truly pan out like to be players?
Hold the thought. Let's pause it real quick. He's blasting me too. Hold on. 1 sec.
All right. So thank you guys so far for listening. While Rob goes probably to pee, just follow us on Instagram at Sports Bible Pod, TikTok Sports Bible Pod. We're gonna start posting more shorts. Let us know if you want us to do a different type of podcast or more often, shorter, more often during the week. Follow us on YouTube. We actually did pretty well for our standards on our last video. Just try to keep subscribing, keep telling your friends, family, whoever you know about this podcast. And Rob's back. I thought you had to pee.
I just yelled down. I was like, dude, I'm doing the pod.
All right. So yeah, that's my take on the Warriors Mavs series. I don't really have much. It kind of went how I was expected. I was just kind of rooting for Dallas a little bit, even though I don't hate Golden State. I didn't hate any team in the top 4, mainly because Philly was done, and the Nets were done. And the Suns, I don't hate them, but I was rooting for Dallas.
Yeah, and you heard I had the same opinion as you. Like, I would have liked to have seen an upset and Luka make history and this be, kind of like what they're saying about Tatum, just like a historic, magical run.
Yeah.
Just obviously because he's the best player. And especially with what Doncic is doing. And, yeah, I mean, we were hoping for another win or two. But As you know, I've been high on the Warriors since the training camp. I knew if the Lakers weren't pulling it out, I knew the Suns would be back. Obviously, you get the dark horses like Utah. Denver was beat up.
Did you expect Jordan Poole to do this?
No. I mean, in the preseason, he kind of made waves, and I knew he'd be an impact player and basically, a high-level starter to where I don't want to compare him to Harrison Barnes, but like just a good fit that could be, or like a better Wiggins, something like that. I didn't think he'd be the most improved player candidate. And I knew he had a lot of potential as a scorer, and he was smooth and could score on a couple different levels. But, yeah, I definitely didn't see that. But that's my point. It just goes to show how the organization is, how the franchise has always been built. And that's what everyone loves about this finals, for example, is that they were built with the draft. And I can't –
Build, not bought.
Yeah, I can't give Danny Ainge enough credit. He'll probably get a ring if we were to win. Real quick, the Williams, the Jays, Marcus, Pritch, finding Tice, and even getting those pieces on the outside to try and fit, like Kyrie, Hayward. And
how did they get those Tatum and Brown with what picks? Nets?
Nets, and they both landed 3. And then Marcus was their own the first year of the rebuild.
I find it funny that KD and Kyrie joined up to play to make the finals, and then their former teams make it. I find that really funny.
I love that. That's the narrative.
I was talking about before, but this is another thing I disagree with JJ Redick on. He says, like, it was a couple years ago, a lot has to happen. Yeah, a lot has to happen, and a lot happened to the Nets that was self-inflicted that caused them to not work out. Because I don't think Kyrie's back next year.
That will certainly be a take that we can talk about for a couple different episodes.
Yeah, I don't think he's back, and I don't know. I don't know what his market is. I mean, obviously, teams are going to be interested in him, but it's not the Lakers. No, just and then the whole thing with KD and him not talking to Steve Nash, which cool. Do you talk to your boss? Like, I don't talk to my boss. Like, I talk to my boss when I have to ask her a question. That's it.
Yeah, I understand for Nets supporters who have that to say.
Yeah, well, but so, all right, we can do a little preview of the finals. I mean, we kind of went over both teams, but how they match up will be a little interesting.
Yeah, I was just gonna say real quick, like, if just to finish what I was saying, if it wasn't the Lakers, like, I knew, and people around me doubted them, like they didn't see this coming. I'm like, dude, the pedigree, that those 3.
Well, because everyone wants someone new. It's like I said, it's voter fatigue. It's nothing against the Warriors. I mean, I said to bench Klay Thompson 2 months ago.
You did say that,
but in my defense, I didn't say bench him because he was bad. I said bench him just because his feet aren't under him yet.
Tough situation, yeah.
And Jordan Poole was. Does he start Poole?
I'll be honest, I forget.
Well, they start Looney.
Yeah,
and then Draymond, who what did my brother say yesterday? We were talking about Udonis Haslem and like how he hasn't played in a while. Okay, I didn't give him crap for that. He still cares, still works hard. How he doesn't know if he's playing next year. He's older. And Danny said my brother hates Draymond Green, and he said that Udonis Haslem, what he did on the bench is what Draymond Green does on the court, and that's nothing. I'm like, all right, that's a little mean. Draymond Green doesn't do nothing.
As you know, I am as a Draymond lover. I like
Draymond.
Maybe that'll decrease during this series, kind of like Lowry, even though Draymond's a whole nother level. But
I feel like from a casual fan's perspective, it looks like he does nothing because he'll have the ball, there's the hoop, no one's there, and he'll turn around to give it to Steph.
Yeah, look to see who's moving. But like,
yeah, so from a casual fan, which my brother's not a casual fan, but it's probably like his 3rd or 4th favorite sport, the NBA. So it's just funny when he talks about Draymond Green.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, not even regarding him saying that, you should tell him, like, we'll have him on soon. I see he's like a big
Yeah,
NBA fan on social media, pretty
he's
much.
a Wizards fan,
Yeah, you
so
told.
he loved John Wall, but he hated Russell Westbrook.
I mean, tell him I don't need Bradley Beal in my organization now that we finally overcame the hump.
Well, you know that the Jays don't work together. Do you know that?
Yeah, and they need a point guard as well. Not that he's the defensive player of the year and is kind of like a mini Draymond himself or anything, but they need a point guard. Al Horford's too old. They don't got the right coach. Brad
I gotta,
Stevens.
I gotta get that clip. I gotta get that clip of me saying like you don't break up the talent.
Yeah, and shout out to you and Jalen Rose and the
Yeah, my hairline's better. I got better.
Hey, I mean,
I got a mohawk going. It's a little grown in now, but you know,
yeah,
I don't have the money Jalen Rose has yet. But if you guys listen to this, I might.
I was gonna say, yeah, basically that's all I have to say about the Warriors. I mean, the two biggest factors could be Wiggins with his duties to defend both Jays, and then Looney, because obviously we're a lot bigger and our physicality on the interior could be a factor if, Draymond and Looney aren't good enough to hold that, which that is a long shot to say that. But, like, our size could definitely be a big factor, especially if Rob's healthy. And not for nothing, too. I've been saying this. I understand, as you know, Jalen's handles, especially going against Victor and the beginning of the series or at some points, Jalen's numbers were phenomenal against Miami. He was like 24 plus, like 7 boards, 48% from the field, 40 from 3, couple assists. Like, if he could play like that, we'll be in beautiful shape, I'd say. And he continues to just be underappreciated.
Yeah. So some breaking news in the cultural world, like pop cultural world, I guess. See Johnny Depp won his case.
I did hear that before.
He got $15 million.
I just think the whole thing. So I mean, I haven't paid attention to much. I just heard it's hilarious. And
I thought it was funny though when I'm not gonna get into like what happened because I truly don't really know, but he said something like "bag of dirt," and it's a famous thing from Pirates of the Caribbean where he's carrying a bag of dirt around. He's like "bag of dirt, bag of dirt," and he starts laughing because he remembers it, I guess. So, but there's breaking news.
That's breaking news we've had.
Oh God! If you want more breaking news, did you see basketball for a second? Did you see the whole thing with Tommy Pham and Jock Peterson? That was.
I was telling my uncle that, like, we were talking about it the other
Brought
day.
Mike Trout into it.
He's like, me with basketball is like my uncle with baseball. So, like, we'll always just talk Yankees, Sox, or whatever. And he was like, I saw some of it, and I like showed
Fantasy
him.
football league. When I heard the story, I'm like, it sounds like kind of like with Lindor and McNeil, like with the rat and raccoon. Like it sounded like a fake story, but the fact that it's real is just like, imagine slapping someone over fantasy football, and then you bring up Mike Trout, like being a bad football commissioner. Yeah, I'm the fantasy football commissioner of my league. You know what I literally do? I set the draft date. That's it. I don't do anything.
I get sick of you hear me talking about fantasy basketball in the winter and throughout the regular season. Like,
It's tough to do a bunch of leagues like that.
that and like mid-season, that's like all we talk about. So I get tired of talking about it in the first place. Like, if it came to that and someone was trying to use a physical altercation towards me, I'd be like,
Well, apparently it was about the money involved, but I'm
yeah.
just like, dude, this dude is always trying to fight somebody. Tommy
got-
Pham he fought Was it Ha-Seong Kim or Jake Cronenworth last year? I'm gonna look that up. But he also like tried to fight Luke Voigt this year. He fought. He got into a bar fight, I think. Tommy Pham bar fight. He got into a strip club fight. He got stabbed. Ow, that hurts. Well,
Paul
I don't know
Pierce.
why. What?
Paul Pierce got stabbed 11 times himself.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened there, but like Tommy Pham, was it Ha-Seong Kim? I think it was. He's a shortstop and second baseman for the Padres. Yeah,
Yeah.
they collided into each other like on a pop up. That happens sometimes, unfortunately. And then they got into a fight about it. I'm like he's always like,
I think I remember seeing this actually. Now that you kind of paint the picture in my mind.
yeah. So that was just like, dude, this is such like a. Why do you? If you're gonna slap him in the face, don't do it in public. Like
Yeah.
you talk about being a high roller and AC and stuff. Like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you play for the Reds. Like, I understand you're a professional athlete, but you want to talk about don't mess with my money. But because of what you did, you get suspended and lost $100,000. So you mess with your own money. And I don't even know Tommy. Like, I've never faced Tommy Pham like as a Mets fan. He's never been on the Mets. He's never been on like a rival team. He's literally been on the Cardinals, Padres. What is he now? Cincinnati, and I forget where else he was. I think that's it. So it's like, dude, no one cares. I hate Jock Peterson for the main fact that he made me stay up till 2:30 in the morning last week just for him to crush my dreams. Did you see that game?
Yeah, I actually saw. Yeah,
Oh,
after, like, after you said when we talked about the 12-12 game in San Francisco, or was it that game?
that was the game. Did I have work the next day?
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
trying to.
like he always like seems to get a clutch hit, whether it be like for the Dodgers in the postseason or like whatever. Like,
Was it, did I have work the next day? I'm trying to think because I get up at like 6:30, 6:40 for work in the morning, but I wasn't going to bed. Um, oh, it was Tuesday, so I was off the next day. Wait, I just completely botched that one. Yeah, it was Tuesday, so I'm usually off on Wednesdays, even though I work today. Um, so I'm like sitting there. I'm like, it's 8-2, I think. Then Lindor homers 8-4, and the announcers say like, "Oh, last time Lindor did 2-run homer and like this deficit, they came back and won." Little did we know, single, chopper, error. Like it was the most BS way to come back, and then Lindor triples. They scored whatever those 3 runs, or 2 runs, and then or 3 runs. It was a blur. And then the next inning, Jock Peterson homers, and then the next inning, the Mets score, and then this. I'm like, oh God, my head's gonna explode. And they eventually lost, but it is what it is. It was a great game. Just Jock
yeah,
Peterson. I don't hate Jock Peterson. I hated him for a good 35 minutes though. I'm like, dude. And the next day he hit a home run.
he's like, I remember you when we were talking on Instagram. I think it was you said, "Bro, the Mets," and then I saw the highlights when I was watching Sports Center before bed. And then I see Andrew tweeting about it, and he was like, "Baseball can make you do crazy things." And then,
Bro, because the clock, you can't run out the clock. And I've seen it. I've seen the MLB Twitter social media page, and I love Major League Baseball, had the nerve. The Mets played the Nationals, who they just swept. The Mets just bludgeoned the Nationals. They outscored them, I believe it was 13-5, 23-5 in 3 games. They didn't score outside the first game. They had the nerve to post a highlight reel from 2019 when the Mets were up 10-4, and they lost in the ninth inning, and they lost like 11-10. You have the nerve to post that. And you know what? The Mets just bludgeoned them. So post that with the Dodgers now. So they bludgeon the Dodgers. Although they're probably not going to bludgeon the Dodgers.
had 2 out of 3. That's all that matters.
We got 4. So it's gonna be
Two.
tough. We got them, then we got San Diego, and then we got the Angels, who are kind of struggling. Maybe
Yeah,
Mike Trout's distracted because he's got to do a better job being a commissioner.
they just showed the quote on NFL Live, and yeah, I saw they got spanked to the Yanks as well last
Yeah,
week.
yeah, we don't mind when Noah Syndergaard gets hit around. Guy still worrying about the Mets. Dude, we literally offered you a qualifying offer, and you took a 1-year deal somewhere else. You think we're gonna be happy about that? No.
At the end of the day, though, like it was the right move was made. Clearly, I mean,
Oh yeah, because
we've
Chris
seen
Bassitt's been great.
yeah, and like we've seen the Mets have these starts before, but like all around the organization is in a much better place. And he's hurt all the time. Like they had to. He hasn't had a full season since what, 2016? Something like that.
2019. That's when the Mets were kind of mediocre. Then they went on a big run. And then 2020 was a shortened year. He had Tommy John, and then last year he didn't come back till the last week. So I didn't blame him for that. Getting hurt happens, but then you leave, and then you throw a shot with the real no hitter stuff, and then you get shelled, and you get shelled again. What do you expect's gonna happen? These New York fans sometimes hate New York players, let alone guys that are leaving the team.
Yeah, I mean,
all right, back to basketball. What are you predicting? Do you want me to go first?
yeah, you can.
It is with my deepest sorrow that the banner that will be held for the Celtics will stop at Eastern Conference champion, because I don't see anyone beating the Warriors. I think they win in 6. Golden State.
Just like every series, I'll take Boston in 7.
Okay.
Hopefully 6, because same thing with the men's league. Game 7 would be the
The
9th.
one thing I will say is the Celtics have a better 2, a better 3, and a better 5.
Just kind of like Cowherd did his top 10 players of the series. He had I'm trying to think of the order. It was
Steph won.
Steph, Tatum, Brown, Thompson. It was 5 and 5, but he
You find it.
he had the big plays against Luka, kind of a big series, and he proved he could play a little defense. He had that big game, kind of like your tweet that was Wiggins over Brown, but I guess it was deservingly so because the ranked players in the conferences. Remember you tweeted? I guess it's just because Wiggins had that big game, but that's kind of how I felt. I was like, Wiggins over Smart, but yeah, I mean, I'll take Celtics in 7, I suppose. We love playing in this building, which I heard it when I listened to Simmons' pod, and I thought I was the only one that realized this. Chase Center is just not the same atmosphere Oracle was. It's not. I mean, we still
Isn't the
love
same arena? I don't know. They changed the arenas. You're right.
Yeah, and Oracle was awesome, and it is. That's kind of something that happened with Golden State over these 3 years. Even that is a big change. Obviously, new arena, but obviously still crazy atmosphere. But it's just different than how it used to be. And Boston's always loved playing in this building. And I don't think I've said it yet since we've been recording, but you probably saw it. Only team with the winning record against the Dubs since the Steve Kerr era, and in 2014-15, 9-7. And I knew it was a high record, and just excited to be back in TD Garden in the finals finally too. That's going to be.
I'm assuming Boston has the Yeah, they do. The
Golden State is home court, if that's what you're going to ask.
Oh, I'm thinking because of 2 seed, but I forget it goes by record. All right,
Yeah,
so
I thought the same thing the past 2 weeks. My dad asked me at first. He was like, I was like, yeah, we'd be home. And then because we're 2, they're 3.
Yeah.
Then look at the records. and they were 53-29. We were 51-31. So yeah, they get the game and a half, 2-game smidge above us, and it's what it is. I mean, clearly we're better on the road. Like we've been having these amazing sides. It was key, obviously. Like I've been saying, shout out to Ime for taking the toughest route. We really are such a special team at the end of the day. Like, what a special run it's been. But like home with Brooklyn, with Milwaukee, it's just like since the Miami, like really since game 5 of that blown game against the Bucks, they showed it in game 7 how important home court was.
Yeah.
Kind of just, the road team was 4-2 going into game 7 in the Miami series. And we just been great on the road. Like they're just, like that might have been a game they would have blown had it have been at TD Garden. But it just, it's just, we're just road warriors. And it's just, again, part of all the experience they have. And they love playing in this building. And it's just something special when Golden State comes to Boston as well. So one game at a time. Every game's at 9. The only 8 ones are game 7 on the 19th if necessary. And this Sunday's game 2. So very excited. It's almost, what time is it? 5 o'clock. We're NBA Finals Eve. Let's hope Rob Williams plays. I saw some big Celtic guy said that he's usually right on the source too. He said, I've been told that if they played tonight, like he probably wouldn't play. And if they could steal one without him and one at Chase Center, in San Francisco, as me and you talked about before, and deciding where it was or realizing where it was, but they just set the tone like you did in game 7, like you did on the road in Miami. That was my fear going into game 7 was like, are they going to win 3 games on the road? And that's what they did. And just got to set the tone. A healthy Rob is key. Brown at his best is key. And it's good. Every game I expect a deep series no matter what. And I expect a great game every game, no matter what. No Miami blowouts back and forth. Like I'm talking 5-point differentials. And through the 6 years, not just during this odyssey that I've been talking about, but since we've wanted this Golden State matchup, like it was like the average point differential was like 5 or something like that every time they played. Yeah. And, this season when we lost to them in December, they had the repeat on after I watched the game 7 repeat this afternoon. Langford started. Horford didn't play. Grant was out, I want to say. Schroeder was out. And then when they played him in Oracle Chase Center, it was the game. It was when their West Coast trip started mid-March after the KG retirement game. It was like 3 days later. And then that was when Steph got hurt, when Marcus took his dive, and him and Steve had, that loving conversation between the two. Because they've just, Steve prayed him. He was like, Marcus is a gamer. I know that wasn't intentional. And we just completely took them out of it and won that one.
Yep.
We both can play in each other's buildings, and it's just going to be a hell of a series.
Yep. Do you have anything else you want to talk about? I have one small thing.
I think that's it.
I was going to talk about the Draymond-Durant thing.
I didn't dive that into it. I just saw I
just have a point.
Out of the NBA Today, and that's where I heard it yesterday.
I just have a point. I just think for Durant, there's no point in getting involved in it. We all know you're great. No one's denying that. And because you could have easily been the one getting doubled and Steph went off. People aren't going to remember Steph Curry getting double teamed and you winning the Finals MVP. It is what it is. Did it happen? Probably. Ty Lue even spoke about it, and Ty Lue was kind of the coach. So So yeah, I just don't think it's something he should be like. Draymond said what he said. He didn't really say anything that bad. He's just kind of stating facts. Obviously, he's gonna back up Steph Curry, it's his teammate. I know people give him a hard time for that for some reason. I don't know why. Um, but if you're KD, just there's no point. There's no point in like talking about it. We all know you're great. You hear when people start comparing LeBron to people, you hear LeBron coming out and saying stuff about it. No, like because you know your value. You know you're great. There's no point. You don't have to confirm it with people. You don't have to. Oh, what's the term I'm looking for?
Dive into the criticism, I guess.
Yeah, like you don't have to like confirm or whatever to make yourself feel better. We all know you're great. When you don't criticize bad players, you criticize good players, great players. You ever hear a bad player get booed, besides like by their own home fans? Why do you think Bryce Harper gets booed? Because he hits a home run every 15 seconds against the Mets. Like that's why he gets booed. Why do you think? What's his name? Why didn't Kyrie got booed for the Celtics other than him stomping on the court? He's a great player.
Or
If
like,
Kyrie, what's up?
well, I wasn't going to say this, but along with everything else that we don't need to talk about that happened with them too, but I was going to say Grayson Allen. That's just because he's a dirty player, like in
Yeah,
Boston.
that's a little different. But like Kyrie, if Kyrie,
Like Boston, we didn't have anything to do with him. We just knew who he was.
if Kyrie was, I'm gonna throw a name out. If Kyrie was Alfred Payton, would he get booed? No. Like
Not.
it's just
It's who they are. Like that's
yeah. You got
80. Like it's a part. Like we talked about this during the Brooklyn series. Like a part of you feels like dead or like ripped out when that player leaves or whatever.
yeah. When like it depends on the guy's personality as well. But like I said, Bryce Harper comes back, gets booed. Chase Utley gets booed by the Mets. Why? Because he beats the Mets, not because he's bad. They cheer when he's bad. Like that's
For years too. Like he was since the
yeah,
world since they played the Dodgers in 15. Like
yeah.
he's
It's broke room to hot his leg. But yeah, I just think it's not worth Durant getting involved in. Like, do you really care if the guy was getting doubled? I'm sure Steph got doubled once. I'm sure Durant got doubled.
yeah, and like it's just the thing about him is like he doesn't even get like offended when he dives into these comments and clicks. It's
But
just
you
like
don't think so?
I think he just like yeah, there's probably a part of him that does like it's human nature, but like I think he just loves talking the game. Like he even says it in the tweets. He's like, I'm not embarrassed to anything. Like I think it's funny and like I just love the game so much. Like clearly as you could tell, like he'll just like no matter who it is, he'll reply. So he just
Yeah.
loves the art of basketball, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's not worth it. It's not worth it for him.
Yeah, it's
Like,
not. You got it. I agree.
yeah. Like, do you hear Chris Paul respond to Pat Bev? No.
Not just other players. Yeah.
So something funny actually was remember like that the Dallas going back now 2 rounds when they were doubling Booker a lot. Like and so I said, damn, if Devin Booker let them double team him in practice, maybe he would have been more equipped. Remember that clip that came out when he's complaining that he was getting double teamed in practice?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a famous Kobe line, like send one more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess, like, I didn't say this real quick on the Mavs. I don't think I said this the last time we did our episode, but, like, it's just your ceiling is only so high when it's maybe I did say it, like, briefly, but your ceiling is just so high when that's your second favorite player, and it's, like, a drop-off like that between the next best player of all time and Jalen Brunson. And that's not a knock on Brunson. He could sign with Washington, New York, Detroit, and
Yeah, he could sign to be a really good role player, not the number 2 wingman.
And he could get $100 million, like over $20 million a year, and
Especially in the NBA.
he'll show. Yeah, he's a 20 point per game guy, but like and he's still young, but it's like get him a Gobert, get him, maybe I think I said this to you last time, a high caliber wing that if someone's on the market, maybe a Beal or like a Levine, like we said. Like
Yeah.
he isn't a defender, but like it's a good backcourt mate, clearly.
Yeah,
Special.
we'll see what happens, but I think that's a good place to wrap this up. The next time we talk to you, we might have a guest. The finals might be over. You'll tell by Rob's like look and if he's upset or happy. And but regardless, we'll talk to you guys probably soon. Do you have any plugs, Rob? I know I plugged everything earlier, so
Nothing. I'll probably give us a listen at the Sports Bible or Sports Bible, right?
yeah.
No, the either one. Yeah, all socials. Richie's got the TikTok, Twitter.
Yep. I get a little working on those things a little bit more.
Of course.
Well, you handle the Twitter mostly.
Yeah, obviously, like we're mainly on our own profile, but yeah, the Twitter, Insta, it's all the same at and plug. But yeah, maybe we'll do another episode maybe after the first two in Golden State or between games 1 and 2, like we said.
Yeah, like halfway through the NBA Finals, it might be smart.
Yeah, and I guess between now and before the game tomorrow, I'll probably do an episode on Bleed Green, but that's it.
Yeah.
Probably write something eventually. I've been planning things and writing down ideas.
Yeah, I'm thinking about for myself on my YouTube. I have a couple of videos. I actually was not the biggest fan of like making those videos, like those structure videos. So I was thinking about doing a couple times a week, like a recap of baseball, like what's going on in baseball, and like probably 20, 30 minutes. It'll be like 9 a.m., like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I think it'll be cool to connect with people that way. And I think it's like a good way to show like my love for baseball. I'll have guests on. I'll have Rob on. He's a very upset Red Sox fan right now. And
July, full swing.
Oh, yeah. And then so it should be fun. I'm thinking about doing it. I'm trying to like get ideas of like how to structure it. But sooner or later, also heads up for, like I said, a guest. If you want to be a guest, let us know. If you want us to answer a question on the pod, let us know. But besides that, that's all I got. I don't know about you, Rob, but I think
man.
Enjoy the finals, guys.
Yeah, big night tomorrow. Matchup we've been waiting for.
Yep, already.
Waiting for. But yeah. All right, dog.
See you later.
See you, pal. Text you.